AmericaWebRadio.com. Thank you for listening.
You're listening to America's Web Radio. And now time for the Classic Car Show with Steve Rinaldo and Jim Weber.
Good morning and welcome to America's Web Radio and the Classic Car Show. And we have a dynamite show today, as always, I might add. But we have Mr. Amelia Island on, Bill Warner. And he's down there in God's country, down in Florida, getting a little, I guess Florida's taking a bath right now, just a small shower, and as we've been doing up here in Atlanta today. But anyway, we want to welcome Bill. We're going to be talking about the upcoming concourse in Amelia Island, the numero uno in the States. And welcome back to America's Web Radio, Bill.
Thank you. It's nice to be with you.
Yeah, it's been, I think we talked just before the show this year and just before the COVID was announced. And from what, we've read and seen and heard, it was quite a year with Roger Penske as the feature. And
it was the backstory is that the Players Championship is it's a game they play. It's called golf. I'm not real familiar with it. They are at Ponte Vedra, which is 30 miles south of us. Well, they landed on our date. And of course, that was going to affect our crowd, the media, even some of our volunteers. So we had to move the show forward a week, which I was really angry about. Had to renegotiate all our contracts. It turns out we got the show in and they didn't. I guess the proof of that is that God loves car guys more than he does golfers.
He does.
Well, I heard that the motor went out on the windmill at the golf course, and they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Well, I'd forgotten that. Yeah. Well, you certainly. You had a show and a little surprise this year. I understand your new C8 Corvette was delivered to you at the show.
It was. I love it. I got about 2,100 miles on it now. I don't drive it every day. I drive it on the nice days.
Yeah.
It really redefined Corvette. If you have any impressions of previous Corvettes, just throw them away. This car is it feels smaller, feels tighter, feels crisper. The 8-speed dual-clutch gearbox is just magic. They really, really, really did their homework on this car.
Oh, that's great.
Have you tried to change the spark plugs in it yet?
That's why I have a Chevy dealer.
Yeah, I haven't seen many of them, but when we were by one not too long ago, and he had the backup, and all you can see is like 2/3 of the air filter. And
well, they put a lot of styling gimmicks in motor on top of motors nowadays.
Oh yes,
that stuff comes off. But no, the engineering of the car is superb. Gearbox is superb. It's just, the electronics is over the top. I wrote a story for Sports Car Market this week, and I said, you could spend $200,000-$300,000 more for a car for exclusivity, but those cars will depreciate in the first year more than this car costs.
Well,
yeah.
Have you found out where to plug it in?
No, it's not a hybrid.
yeah,
I'm sure that's coming. But
yeah.
Yeah. Biden says so.
Well, no, it was in Automotive News. They said that that GM took a bunch of the engineers from the Corvette project and put them into developing an electric
Beautiful
or hybrid Corvette.
Yeah. Well, it's a coming thing.
Coming.
Yeah.
That's
a lot of the hybrid cars. If you were at Amelia this last year, you saw the new Lotus, which is of course Chinese. It's Geely.
Yeah.
And it's all electric. And I talked to Emerson Fittipaldi a couple of weeks ago. He was coming out with a V12 supercar, and they put that on hold, and it's going to be all electric.
Really?
Wow. Well, I guess with the power they can develop, and it's instant.
Instant power, yeah. It's amazing.
Electric motors develop maximum torque at 0 RPM.
Yeah.
That's why they launched. They're good.
Yeah.
And then Hispano Suiza, which is one of our marks for this year.
Oh, wonderful.
It's going to be they're going to be delivering their first Hispano-Suiza electric car at Amelia.
Good heavens. Who is funding that company now? Do you know?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
Yeah.
There's so many startups now. You wonder.
Yeah.
Does it look?
Entrepreneurs are.
Does that car look like the is it old looking or new swoopy looking?
Yes.
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 It has the styling cues of the Zinnia.
Oh.
39
Yeah.
Zinnia,
Yeah.
but it's in a modern format. So we're going to have the Zinnia there, so you can compare it to what the influence was on the design of the new car.
Wow. That ought to be fabulous to see.
That'd be something
Yeah.
interesting.
Is it going to be built in Spain?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Italy.
Or Italy? Wow. Yeah, that'll be that's another reason to go. Who will be your featured person this year, if we may ask?
Lynn St. James.
Oh,
Oh,
wonderful.
really?
Yeah,
She's
good.
pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, she's done a lot for charity, too.
She has, and she's done a lot for the motor industry and racing.
Yes. Yes. Will you have any of her Indy cars there?
Yeah, not a class for it, but we will have one.
Good.
So we're doing a class called Chevy Thunder, with everything from the Scarab from 1959, 1960, up to the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Senior Corvette, and in between we'll have the Lola T330 that Brian Redmond drove at 3, 4, 5,000 championships, and M8F McLaren, and Grumpy's Toy, a drag car.
That's
Grumpy
cool.
Jenkins,
Yeah,
yeah.
Grumpy Jenkins. That's cool.
We're going to have sports, anything that had a Chevy V8 that won a championship we're trying to get. And then
Wow.
we're doing the cars of Shadow. So we'll have 8 Shadows on the field.
Oh, my gosh.
And let's see, what else? Tim Welburn, the Welburn collection over in Alabama. We're going to do a class of the rare 70s muscle cars. It's about time to do that again.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, we've got to walk up in line. We call ourselves a Concours d'Elegance, but as Keith Crane said, you're not a Concours, you're a car show. Okay, whatever you want to call me, then we can do it.
Yeah, that's okay. You know,
Yeah.
that's okay. That would break my heart. You know,
Yeah.
I tell you.
Well, you got to understand, he was born and raised in the Motor City. He doesn't understand outside of Detroit, I think, in many ways.
I don't understand in Detroit.
Our seminars, we're going to be featuring the Porsche 935 on the field, and we'll have the new 935 from the Ingram collection.
Wow.
And the seminar is going to be it's Hurley Haywood's 50th anniversary of his IMSA
Beautiful.
championships. We'll have Hurley, Brian Redmond, David Hobbs, Alvin Springer from Porsche,
Yep.
Mark Raffoff from IMSA, a couple more.
You're gonna we have Jim Busby again.
Yeah.
I'm still
Thank you.
laughing about his comments on his car and the altered wheelbase, and the guy that bought the car tried to buy the fiberglass paddles for it and they didn't fit.
Oh,
Right.
oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah, the fenders don't fit.
There's two. The other seminar is going to be Chevy Thunder with Richard Childress, Herb Fischel, and David Hobbs, who won the Trans Am Championship for Chevrolet, and then Brian Redmond, who won Formula 5000, George Fulmer, who ran with the Shadows. They're going to be on that.
Wow.
And we got another surprise guest, but I can't say it until it's confirmed by Chevrolet.
Okay.
Or until after you win the election, right?
Yeah, that's when the virus goes away, I think.
Yeah, November 6th.
Yeah, we hope.
I hate to sound like a cynic, but I've gotten totally disenchanted with this election watching that. Just want to get it over.
Yeah.
I think everybody does.
Well, my only fear is we'll still be counting ballots next spring. So.
You think it'll be that soon?
Yeah. Maybe we can announce it at Amelia.
They won't mail a lot of them out until December. So.
Well, it depends. You know, it depends. Kinko's will be printing like crazy the day after.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything more bizarre in my life.
No, I agree with you. They've got Sam Momo Giancana's election handbook.
Do they?
Yeah, from '62
Oh.
or '60. Was it '60?
He and Joe Kennedy.
Yeah, he and Joe. Yeah.
Well, yeah, there was a great thing on Netflix about the Kennedys. It was about Sinatra, about how he delivered the labor unions in Illinois and West Virginia to the Kennedys.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, hey, let's go back to cars.
Oh, yes, please.
Unusual class. You're always the guy that does the neat, unusual class. What is happening this year?
We do that for a reason. We know that there's people who come to the show who don't really care about cars. They may be wives or drugged there by their husbands, or just some neighbor. The guy says, "You got to come to the show." And you're not ready to come to our show. So we always try to throw something really weird. And so this year it's going to be called Weird and Wonderful. It's going to be bubble top cars and stuff is just so bizarre that it would never make production.
Yeah. Well,
one of them I can tell you about is Jeff Lane, who is the Steve McQueen was the king of cool, and Jeff Lane is king of crazy.
Yes.
And
yeah.
He has a car that's full size Monopoly piece. You remember the little car on the Monopoly game?
Yeah.
Well, he's got a full size one. That's weird.
Oh, it is. It is. Well, have you ever been to his collection in Nashville?
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
I know Lane. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a trip in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's got some weird stuff.
Yeah, it's just to go through the place, and then you go back 2 years later, and there's about 10 more weird things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He always adds entertainment to the show.
Yeah, that propeller car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to be able to entertain the crowd. You can have a bunch of classic cars there, and everybody goes, "Oh, there's a Duesenberg or there's a Packard," but you really got to throw in something that puts a smile on people's face.
Yeah. Well, and there's nothing like an unmuffled Chevy V8 in a ground pounder.
Last year we paraded the 5 Sunoco Camaros up front for Roger, and he had the biggest smile on his face I've ever seen. His wife looked over at me, Kathy looked at me and said, "You couldn't have given him a better Christmas present."
Did they have the 60-foot fuel can?
Yes.
You had
As
it
a matter
there?
of fact, we did.
Okay. Wonderful.
And that's an interesting one. Shipping it had to come from Don Lee in California, Northern California. And we were trying to figure out how to package it. So Don just went out and bought a cheap Chevy van somewhere and put it in that. And we shipped it over by Reliable. And when he shipped it back, he sold the van.
That is smart packaging.
It was cheaper than having a freight company do it and have to handle the freight.
Yes, and less damage this way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Bill, let me ask you something. We're all about within some range of the same age and so forth, and this time of year used to be so exciting because the new models were coming out, and we've talked about it before, trying to look under the brown paper and get one little glimpse of the taillights or the front end or whatever. Do you think that was exciting even for women, they were, what is the new T-Bird going to look like or whatever, So do you think we're missing on, and you could almost build a new car with a copier today, but do you think we're missing anything? And if I were a betting person, I would bet you were the same way as a kid. You went to the Ford and the Chevy dealer and see if you could find a hole in the paper.
I remember the days of going to Gordon Thompson Chevrolet and finding out where they hid their cars, and pedaling my bike over there. Or the Detroit companies used to, before they did the big Arizona test, they'd drive cars up and down the East Coast, and I'd run across. I remember I saw the first '59 Pontiac, which was really a spaceship at the time.
Yes.
And they were called blackout cars. If you remember that, they'd cover them all in black.
Yep.
So you
Yep.
photograph.
Yep.
Yeah, they've taken the excitement out of it. The marketing people, you don't even know when a car is coming out. I'll see a car on the street, when did that come out? Oh, that came out 2 months ago. They've taken the sizzle out of the steak.
Yes, exactly. And you know what's even crazier is the 2021 model year has been out since probably June or May, and I know there's going to be a 2022 model that's going to come out in February. It's just February of 2021.
It's goofy.
Yeah.
It's goofy.
Yeah.
What year is that?
Yeah.
It used to be September, October, November were the dates, and each company there seemed to be some sort of agreement at what date they would have, if it was coming September 12th to a Ford dealer near you in the new Y block, all that.
Right.
And they'd hype it up. I remember in '59, Pat Boone was showing sneak shots of the '59 Chevy, a week out. They built excitement for the car.
Yes.
And I don't know when that ended, but I think some marketing genius who would go in there and just bring back some excitement to a reveal would pay his way in gold.
Well, it's amazing, and I'm like you. I'd pedal my bike down and take a look at Rapid Chevrolet and see. And I was looking for Corvettes.
Yeah, we all were. Corvettes, and then the Mustangs, and
yeah, and
the Hemis,
and
all
then
that stuff.
You always waited for the opening day, which was usually a Friday evening, was the first one, and they'd have hot dogs and Cokes. So
and if you were special, you got invited to the premiere before the grand opening. If you were special.
Yes, I must have had someone who knew me. And let's see, at '59, I was 16 years old, and I got invited to the Oldsmobile reveal at the Roosevelt Hotel in Jacksonville, and they had singers and dancers, and it was a mini Motorama kind of rollout,
Yeah.
And
They
pretty much kept a lid on what the car was going to look like. I think they did a good job on the C8 Corvette. They did a great job on the Ford GT. They could do it.
Yes.
Whether they want to do it or not.
Yes.
Now, the dealer shows, when we were there, Jim, was all about complaining about warranty. That's all it was.
Well, and the other thing is, when we were there, we'd see prototypes, and then they'd say, well, when's it coming out? Well, that'll be 2 or 3 years from now. And what the dealers didn't know is half the car was clay. And, yeah.
Many of them were push mobiles.
Yes.
Heavy running.
Yes.
Yeah.
But hey.
Well, things have changed.
Yeah. Bill, I have to agree with you. The C8 Corvette was the way to go, and the way they camouflaged them. And then there were Netflix videos of guys like up in the mountains in California and places like that with covered up cars, and they'd have 992 Porsches and something else there chasing them around, and it was kind of fun to watch the videos. But the car came out, and I mean,
it just is a hit. I mean, you can't. That's a
you got a smoke gray one, didn't you, Bill?
Yeah.
And
I ordered the package where they paint over all the boy racer black stuff, the side slash and the spoiler, so it's kind of monochrome.
Beautiful. Yeah.
In some cases, manufacturers want to sneak something out and see in advance to kind of test the waters, particularly if it's something very advanced, because you can get it a situational where you bring a car out that bombs on the public, like the Chrysler Airflow. That was so advanced, and when Chrysler bought it out, Ford thought that was the future, and they were going to do the Lincoln that way. And I remember Bob Gregory telling me he went to Tom Jarda, who designed this Lincoln with the airflow nose back in 1935. And he said, that'll never sell with Mr. Ford. He likes pointy noses. So they had to add a pointed hood and nose on the car to get it to sell. So, Chrysler was so far ahead of their time, the public wouldn't accept it.
Yes.
Now you can't find an airflow, and especially a coupe, if you find a coupe, bring a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
There's one about 100 yards from me, so not mine, but Mark Becker, who's our vice chairman, has an airflow coupe.
Yeah, they're beautiful. I think they're cool as could be.
Well, you were looking for one for a
Well,
while.
I just have no more room. I've got to make room.
Yeah. Well, you've got that 38 Cadillac, too.
Yeah, that big monster.
Yeah.
A good car guy always has one more car than he has room for.
Yes.
I do, because my truck lives over under the neighbor's deck because I have no room.
Yes, I'm in that boat, too.
I am too.
And then there's always one or two that your wife doesn't know about.
I always wake up in the middle of the night with nightmares that I put a car somewhere and can't remember where I put it.
I know people that have done that.
Yeah, I know, especially when we get in our mid-70s.
Steve Gordon has no idea how many and where they all are.
Yeah.
He has no idea.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop us here, and we're going to take a quick break. Bill, we'll be back with you in just a minute, okay?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
McAllister's Auto Transport is a privately held company celebrating our 75th anniversary this November, specializing in enclosed-only transportation to the OEM, personal, snowbird market, and our favorite market of all is the collector market. Give us a call at 800-748-3160, or you can reach us on the web at McAllisters.com, and that's McCollisters.com. Large enough to handle all of your transportation needs, small enough to provide you the old town, old school service that you come to expect when you're moving your baby.
Hi, this is Steve Rinaldo, host of the Classic Car Show on America's Web Radio. Just talking to you about antique car insurance. I think that if you're looking for the best coverage for your classic car, consider J.C. Taylor Insurance. They've been my insurer for years in this hobby and have the top rating of all of the insurance companies in the hobby. When you get ready for insurance, call J.C. Taylor or visit jctaylor.com on the internet.
If you live to serve and want to make an even bigger difference, consider joining the U.S. Army. With training in fields like medical care, linguistics, and engineering, an Army career can amplify your efforts with humanitarian opportunities all over the world. Plus, you'll receive competitive pay and incredible benefits, so you'll be taken care of, too. Learn more at GoArmy.com.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
And we're back.
You sell anything?
Did we sell anything?
Some insurance for J.C. Taylor Insurance, and then McAllister Transport. They're getting calls right as we speak from Amelia Island.
Participants.
Let me ask you a question. You of course well know that Hershey was canceled. So many big car events were canceled this year. I mean, we haven't done one national event all year, and we usually do a lot of stuff. What do you see this having an effect on you, and are you going to put in? I know it's it's early, but any when AACA, when they did the Grand National in Gettysburg, they had different show fields. Everybody had to wear a mask. Everybody got their temperature taken. There were no banquets. There was no judging school. There was no nothing. Are you guys thinking about or formulating a plan as to what you're going to do for Amelia Island?
Every day.
Yeah.
We go by what the state laws are and what the rules are of the Marriott Group, which owns the Ritz-Carlton. And right now, if it's to be had today, the banquet would have to be 50% the size. The seminar is 50% size. In Nassau County, Florida, you are not required to wear a mask outside. We would recommend that they would if the rules were tomorrow. We reduced the count of the cars from 300 to 230 to get social distancing. I don't think it's going to hurt the show because I've had so many people tell me you got too many cars, you can't see them all. So we've got more corporate involvement this year because there was no Geneva show and Pebble Beach was put off. So things that would have gone to those two shows are coming to ours. So we're very fortunate about that. But the big question is, are you going to have a show? Are you going to have a show? Yeah, we're going to have a show. Of course, and not to be political, but to be political, depending on who gets elected, could very well determine what we look like in March. March is 5 months off. We're now 7 months, 8 months into this COVID thing. Every day I get on the computer and check the curves for Florida, and they're very positive. The number of deaths in Florida are less than 10 per day in a state of 16 million.
Yeah,
So,
it's amazing, and I remember back when both Lyndon Johnson and Hubert Humphrey were in the hospital with that flu years ago, and 266 or 8,000 people died in that, and we did not go through the quarantining that we're doing now.
Yeah,
we're supposed to be talking about cars and fun
I know.
and all that stuff, but I'm going to get political. This whole thing has been political as far as I'm concerned, and the only thing I worry about is what's behind this. If it was an engineered virus, what is the next engineered virus we're going to see? Is it being used as a weapon? Are we in a biological war that we don't know about? I don't know. I can't answer those questions. But to your point, politicians have taken hold of this thing and used it as a weapon. People are in this bubble. They want out. They want out now. You're beginning to see rioting in some cities of people who do not want to be locked down. In New York City the other day was Jewish community, and I think getting through Christmas is going to be interesting this year on how they treat the holidays.
Yes.
I've never seen anything like it in my life.
No.
There's a psychological warfare going on too. The other night, I went out to dinner and knew I was going about 4:35 in the afternoon that I was going to dinner, and I'm thinking, oh man, this is, I hadn't been to my favorite Mexican food restaurant and had a couple of drinks there, good margaritas, and I'm really excited about going. And you walk in the door, and there's a big slap in your face as everybody, all the waitresses, everybody there was wearing masks. And that's like saying, COVID! It yells at you and it brings all the bad thoughts back to you as you're trying to have good thoughts. And it's rampant. You go to the grocery store, you go anywhere, and the masks are being worn, and it's like yelling at you that it ain't normal.
Yeah. One neat thing we had, Bill, last Sunday, we had a car gathering, and we had it at a Panera Bread. We had it in a lot. People did wear masks. Some people didn't. But it was one of the most fun, eclectic things.
yeah.
There was a 59 Pontiac Bonneville two-door coupe there.
A tri-power car.
Yeah, and there was a carry-all there. And people walked by Ferraris and Lamborghinis and Porsches to look at that. And it's just, it was like somebody let everybody out and said, hey, we're going to go to a car show and we're going to have a good time.
Well, like I said, we didn't do anything. And when AACA canceled and Herco canceled Hershey this year, I'm sure you look at the AACA website every now and then. The crying all over the hobby that there's no Hershey this year. My God, it was just Amazing.
So anyway, back to cars, Bill. At least there are some good things going on. And I don't know, do you guys still have your gathering in Jacksonville?
Chris Brewer is in charge of that, and the mall that he had it put them all. They were going to have it. They're doing a lot of cruises.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But no, not the big gathering. Once again, I said this is just my opinion. There are people who go on Facebook and beat me up on it, but it's been highly politicized.
Yes. Well,
and like I say, in the office, they say, well, what are we going to do about this, or what are we going to do about that? I said, well, we wait till the November elections are over. I'm sure there'll be some changes. Some may be really draconian, and some may not be.
We don't know.
Yeah,
Who knows?
yeah, we don't. But hey,
We don't know. We know we're going to have a show.
Yeah. Well, at least we've got
We'll
cars
be
to
the
talk.
last one. We'll be the last one for 2020 and the first one for 2021.
Exactly, and we've got cars to talk about, and I haven't ridden in a C8 yet. In fact, if I were in Jacksonville, I'd be knocking on your door asking for a ride, with or without a mask.
You got to drive it. It's just I
Yeah,
can't tell you how good a car it is. It's a terrific car. It's if I were manufacturers of supercars in the $200,000-$300,000 range, I'd be really worried. You know, the only thing you're buying in those is, in a lot of cases, I think, is just exclusivity.
yes,
Yeah, and the name. Look at me, name.
yeah, and then brag about how much it costs to have an oil change.
Well,
So-
I pulled into a place the other day, and the guy looked at me and said, "Hey, is that the new McLaren or is that the new Ferrari?" I said, "Neither. It's two Corvettes."
Well, they look so much alike,
know.
the new stuff. It's
Yeah.
all swoopy, straight lines. and-
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's just
If you put a LaFerrari and a Corvette side by side, the Ferrari looks a little zoomier because they didn't do the packaging. They didn't have to do the packaging Chevrolet does. You know, you got certain trunk room and certain areas to put oil coolers, and interchange heat exchangers. But the LaFerrari and the nose of the Corvette are very similar. The way the character lines come in, the sharpness of the front, the air intakes.
yes. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I saw Jay Leno when he got his new Ford GT. That was an interesting program.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That's how much is that car? 400,000?
$600,000.
600, yeah. Yeah, I know.
and you can buy a nicely equipped Corvette for about $85,000.
85 or 100, yeah.
Mine came in. I got the fitted luggage ZL1 with the Brembo brakes, the monochrome, the nose lift. Let's see what else did I order on that thing. Certain wheel package. It came in at $81,965.
Wow.
Yeah, you can't beat it. You just can't.
Shapers. Hey, talking about cars and just switching gears for a minute. I know you are very familiar with the Brumos collection and stuff. Is that open now?
Yes. Well, they're closed because of COVID. They're hosting some smaller dinners for fundraisers. They'll be opening soon, but it's fabulous. It's probably not the biggest, but the best museum in the United States. Although Dan Davis doesn't like to call it a museum, it's just his collection. But the display and the way they've done the cars and the feel of it when you go in. Each car has its own iPad with a history, and they got directed sounds. You can see what the sound of the car is. They got their own theater. It's really over the top.
And where's this?
In Jacksonville.
In Jacksonville.
Yeah, when
Right near Mayo Clinic.
yeah, which is Ponte Vedra, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not quite.
Not quite. Yeah.
You're about 300 yards from Ponte Vedra.
Okay. Have you ever been to the Miller Meet in Milwaukee?
Yeah, several times.
Okay. I used to go, and the Brumos collection's got one or two of the Miller cars, if I remember rightly.
No. They got 7.
Okay.
He's got probably the largest Miller collection around. He and Dana Meekum probably
Yeah.
have all the significant Millers.
Are
Yeah.
they? You talking Miller race cars or
Yeah.
Porsche cars?
No, Harry Miller.
The old one. The old,
Yeah.
the cool stuff.
Yeah. Okay. All right. See, I do get
At
confused.
Brumos, they have Samson, which is the twin 8-cylinder car.
Right. Okay.
And do you know what the trivia question for you? What was Samson known for other than the twin 8 motors?
It wasn't a haircut.
I can't answer that, Bill. I don't know.
It was the first car to have a radio unit in it to broadcast to the pits.
Oh, for gosh sake.
Really?
The riding mechanic had a leather helmet with a microphone sewn into it, and they had a tube radio broadcast unit on the floor on the right side of the car, and the antenna ran from the front of the car to the rear underneath.
Wow.
And, would you be surprised to hear it didn't work very well?
What year was this? What in
It was
the
30 or 34.
mid 30s then? Cool.
Yeah, that's well.
I never knew that.
Thank you. Yeah, we learned something today.
Yeah.
Well, more than one thing.
Yeah,
but-
I learned a lot of stuff there.
Wow. Well, have you ever thought about trying to get all the Millers together, or have you done this and I don't know?
We had 23 Millers 8 or 10 years ago on the field.
Yeah, wow.
A little bit of everything.
Okay. All right.
We did. You're going to have to pay attention now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I still think the old the Indianapolis Offenhauser front engine roadster cars with the lay down engine are some of the most beautiful cars ever made. I just think they're gorgeous.
Yeah.
Bill, it's an age thing with Jim.
Yeah.
Me too.
With all of us.
Yeah. Oh, Lord.
With all of us. Anyway, let's just sort of shift gears a little bit about, antique and classic. You're right in the middle of it. You keep hearing all of this gloom and doom about prices, especially right now. What's your take on what's going on price-wise in the hobby?
Well, I think interest rates are low, which allow people to buy in. But people don't know where to put their money, so they're putting it in intangibles. If interest rates go up, car sales will flatten. Some car sales will flatten. Ferrari Daytona, which would have been as high as about 850,000, down around 650. It's an age thing. It's a bell curve. You start out, and when you're 20 years old, you have a desire for a car, and by the time you get 45 or 50, you've gotten a little weight on, you lost your hair, you want to recapture your youth, so you go buy that car you wanted when you were 20, and the bell curve starts going up, and then we peaks at the top when the owner is about 60 years old, and then it starts dropping, and when a guy gets to be about 70 or 80, he bought a car for 20 grand that's now worth $250,000 or something. It's time for him to bail out. So I think what's happening is some of the traditional cars that those of us who are extended age would like are falling off because the buyers of them are dying and don't identify with them. The newer cars, I notice there's a lot of excitement. I can't get excited about it, but a lot of excitement about some of the Japanese tuner cars. And I grew up in an age when your dad was either a Chrysler guy, a GM guy, or a Ford guy. My father was a GM guy. These kids grew up with Hondas, Toyotas, Datsun, Nissan. So it's a car, an electric car, is a nostalgia thing. So you have to look back and see what the youth was driving 20, 25, 30 years ago to see what's going to be valuable today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is, some of us can't get in and out of them anymore. I don't know if you've tried to get in and out of a 904 lately, but I can only do it on my hands and knees. So
yeah, and the higher numbers even get worse.
I have a Pontiac Firebird A sedan I bought off Bring a Trailer, and we put a Dart 303 '83, and I ran it at the Daytona 24 last year.
Yes, yeah.
I was going through tech inspection. I was taken down there, and Chip Wright runs inspections, and I'm trying to climb out the window. You know, it's just like a NASCAR car. You don't open a door and get in. It's just a roll cage. So I'm struggling at age 76 at that time to crawl out the window. And Chip said, "You know, Bill, we got a rule here at IMSA. You got to get out of that car in 30 seconds in case there's a fire." I said, "Chip, you set this car on fire, I'll be out in 15 seconds."
Yeah. That's the one where what was the bumper sticker? My car costs less than your tires.
Yeah, our car's cheaper than your tires.
Yeah. Now, when you watch them, like that.
We finished and won a second in class with it. Can you believe that? I was in the trailer getting out of my driver's suit, and I said, "You got to come to the podium." I said, "Why? Did you finish second?" News to me.
Congratulations. Do you still have that car?
Yeah.
Good.
In fact, here we're doing a Camaro, same thing.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, that's
$6,000 Camaro that was bought off of the internet, and it's been freshened up. But it's not going to be quite as fast as the Pontiac. The Pontiac had never been that fast in its life. It never had 575 horsepower. It was starting to delaminate the spoiler in the back by the time the race was over. It was pulling in honest. When I tell you honest, we did the gear chart, we did the tire diameter, we called a Hoosier to find out about the speed rating. We were doing an honest 180 miles an hour.
wow.
Oh, that's fast.
Yeah.
Wouldn't stop or turn, but it would go 180 miles an hour.
It wouldn't stop or turn.
No. Well, like you try to say, older guys are still doing some of these races, and you see ads on Racing Junk. If you have an old cherry picker, we need it to get in and out. They put a bar on it, gets you in and out of this stuff.
Thank goodness for steering wheels. Come on.
Yeah. Well, we've got a friend that just bought a Berkeley, and he's 77. And
if he's a real friend, you go tell him to sell it.
Well, you know what he did?
He traded one.
He traded one.
Traded one for another one.
He traded a 2-cylinder for a 3-cylinder. Apparently, there's a guy in Charleston with about 12 of them.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to have a passion for something.
Oh, well, the scary thing is I remember when they ran SCCA I-Production.
I-Production?
Yeah.
I thought I was slow at G and H.
I don't remember I-Production.
Yeah.
I don't either.
59, 60. There was something else in there, too, that was small. Hell, I can't remember now. But I remember I-Production, and the parts would fall off the car.
I'm not surprised. Yeah, it's funny you should mention a Berkeley. The only one I ever saw in public was I was at Citadel in Charleston. I wonder if this is the same guy.
It could be.
Yeah.
Well, we can sign him up to be down at your show next year, the Berkeley.
Yeah, no, that's not weird and wonderful enough.
That's pretty weird. Wonderful, no, but weird, yes. You got half covered.
Yeah.
You got half.
Oh, man. Well, Bill, what else can you tell us about 2021's show? We're
doing Hispano Suite, American Muscle, Shadow, Ferrari 275 GTB. If all the moons align, moons and stars, we're going to have all three of the 275 Specials.
Wow.
Very first time ever. And they're one of them is, of course, the Milan car that belongs to Preston Hinn.
Yes.
And the other one is Les Wexner's, the other is Rob Alton. They're all very special, all built for racing, and they've never been together.
Oh, that's great. Well, we're going to take a break, Bill.
Okay.
We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Okay, go sell something.
Okay.
Sell something. Hi, my name is Steve Rinaldo, host of the Classic Car Show on America's Web Radio, talking to you about antique car insurance. In this hobby that I've been part of for years, not all insurance companies and insurance coverage is the same. I would suggest that you call J.C. Taylor or visit jctaylor.com to find out some information about some of the best antique car insurance you can get, such as agreed value insurance for your classic car. Again, when you get ready to insure your classic, antique, or even your street rod, call J.C. Taylor Insurance or visit jctaylor.com.
Whether cruising the strip in a 57 Chevy or taking the family on a vacation in a 71 Oldsmobile Vista Cruiser, you need to tune in to Classic Cars with Steve Rinaldo and Jim Weber every Saturday from 8 to 9 a.m. on americaswebradio.com.
McAllister's Auto Transport is a privately held company celebrating our 75th anniversary this November, specializing in enclosed-only transportation to the OEM, personal, snowbird market, and our favorite market of all is the collector market. Give us a call at 800-748-3160, or you can reach us on the web at McAllisters.com, and that's McCollisters.com. Large enough to handle all of your transportation needs, small enough to provide you the old town, old school service that you come to expect when you're moving your baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, I am Roger B., host of the Locked and Loaded Show on America's Web Radio. Be sure to join us live every Tuesday at 1500 hours for the latest in gun news, gun products, gun politics, and other gun-related stuff. That's Tuesday, 1500 hours, America's Web Radio.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
And we're back with our friend Bill Warner and Amelia Island. And as Bill says, it was America's last car show this year and the first car show next year. So that's quite an honor, Bill.
Yeah. Any changes about costs or any of that stuff?
It just gets more expensive every year.
Well,
Can people go ahead and start buying tickets? Or when does it open up?
Post them online, and they'll either posted on Friday or they'll be posted on Monday.
okay. And sponsorship?
Yeah, it's good. We're getting sponsors we haven't had before because, as they said to me, said that there is no Geneva show and we didn't do Pebble Beach, so we've got these budgets and we're wanting to show cars and we're wanting to get them out. So
Good.
we've got some sponsors this year we haven't had before.
Okay. And peripheral car shows, you've got the Porsche Works Reunion, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And tours, there's a tour.
Yeah. The road tours on Friday down to the Brumos collection.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it's always a challenge for someone my age.
Well, you're kind of the honorary chairman now, if I remember rightly, correct?
No.
No?
I work 12 hours a day.
Oh, my gosh, Bill.
I'm sure you do.
Good for you. Good for you. Hey, it keeps us going. And, I mean, what? Otherwise, you don't play golf. I don't play golf. Steve doesn't play golf. So we got cars.
I told you didn't I tell you the last time how I'd make golf interesting?
You probably did, but you got to remember what David said. My memory's a little short.
Yeah, I would make one out of every 100 golf balls randomly highly explosive. On impact, it would bring a little NASCAR to golf.
Oh,
yeah. You know, have a 150-mile-an-hour golf cart. You lose strokes. The first one back at the clubhouse at the bar wins. You lose a few
I'm sure
points.
there is much skill to golf that is so, that I can't understand, and it's obviously very successful because they get huge crowds. But I went to the Players 2 years ago as a guest, and it was a wonderful affair. I mean, the food was terrific. And, it's not something that would be my steady diet, I don't think.
Yeah.
But I grew up with cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all did,
Yes.
I think. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember my father ever golfing.
Yeah, mine didn't either.
My father was a very good golfer, but I never golfed. I tried 3 times. It's like riding a motorcycle. I tried that twice, but I put one through a stockade fence, so I quit doing that.
That was a good idea.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I went to the Masters once. We had free tickets for Thursday's round, and I got to go to the Masters one time, and that was interesting to see.
Yeah.
See the Masters. I don't care if I go back, but I got to see it anyway.
Well,
one time, Jim Hall called me and he said, "We're opening up the Chaparral wing of the Petroleum Museum, and I want you to be there." I said, "Well, that's nice, Jim. I'd like that." He said, "I want you to play in my celebrity golf tournament." I said, "Well, we got 2 problems, Jim. First, I'm not a celebrity, and 2, I don't play golf." He says, "You come to Midland, Texas, you play golf." So I went out and had the pro at Amelia to try to teach me something so I wouldn't make a fool of myself. I went out and they assigned me with 3 golfers who would launch golf balls like the Kennedy Space Center launched missiles. And I'd swing and miss, or I'd top one that would go over where the rattlesnakes were. It was just a terrible day.
oh boy.
But they play something called best ball, and it turns out that my foursome won.
Yeah.
Gave me Bertha golf club, and as I got off the plane, my wife was waiting for me. She says, "That can't be my husband. He's carrying a golf club."
And a Big Bertha at that. Yeah.
Big Bertha. I used to date that girl, I think.
Did you?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
You dated Big Bertha?
Oh, baby. Oh, baby.
Well, that's...
You get letters from Bertha this week, or all the Berthas of the world.
The Big Bertha was made by Reeves Calloway's father. Reeves Calloway, the guy that does all the Corvettes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's the same people?
That's the same
I
family.
never knew that.
Callaway
I never knew
family.
that.
Yeah, Callaway Gardens, Callaway Golf.
Yeah.
He has the guy down in mid Georgia is part of that.
Well, they own Callaway Gardens.
Oh, really?
But
I
it's
never knew
his
that.
father. I think his father is.
We're going there in 2 weeks for an antique car tour.
Good. Well, his father's probably deceased now, and Reeves is still building cars.
Yeah, in Mystic, Connecticut, I think.
Yeah, they are. I can remember when he was doing the turbo conversions on Volkswagen GTIs, and then when I was at Alpha, he did the turbocharged GTV6s.
I never knew that.
He even did the turbocharged DeLorean. It was Bill Mitchell, who used to race Bill Mitchell cars. He had one of the motors up on everything. And Bill Mitchell did some of the work with Reeves Callaway on that.
Yeah. Those were in Camaros, weren't they?
I had one of those. Well, I didn't have a Reeves Callaway Camaro. I had a Bill Mitchell Camaro that was turbocharged.
Yeah, with many light wheels.
I had a car that was featured in Car and Driver. They didn't like it too much, but it was good.
It was a fun car. I rode in one once, and I was impressed with it.
We called it a EBJ.
An EBJ.
Eyeball jiggler.
An eyeball jiggler.
I know you and Tom Cotter wrote one of my favorite books, the one on going to Cuba, but you ought to do a My Life with Cars by Bill Warner. It's how, I mean,
that would be a good story.
Yeah, or at least.
I am doing a book called The Other Side of the Fence. It's up at Chuck Cleaner's now, being laid out. And I had a sister who was a professional portrait photographer, and she was 13 years my senior. She died of cancer at 50. She was my big cheerleader. And when I was given a camera when I was 16, my parents gave me a Yashica D, which cost, I think, $40 back then. My first camera. And my sister looked at me and she says, "You know what that's going to get you?" And I said, "No, what?" She says, "On the other side of the fence."
Yeah.
Meaning that if you had a press credential, you were on the other side of the fence. So I'm dedicating the book to my sister, and the name of the book is The Other Side of the Fence, 60 Years of Motorsports Photography.
Wonderful.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, boy, because
we hope to have that ready in March.
Have you read that
And-
book, Faster? About
Yeah.
isn't that an interesting story? I
It
thought
is.
it was a really
Yeah.
cool, interesting story about the cars not against Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was really interesting.
Just mentioning our friend John Lamb passed, which was quite a surprise.
Well, that's really hit me pretty hard.
Yeah, what a great photographer and what a great guy. I spent
He
a lot
was.
of
He and
time
I-
with him.
He and I drove a race together. I think it was the only race he ever drove in. Was he and I and Bob Aiken and Joe Roos ran in the 24 Hours of Nelson Ledges in a Jack Roush car,
Oh, for God's sake!
and we finished third, which was amazing because we were driving a Mercury LN7, which is one of the really totally bad cars.
Oh, that's something.
Trying to be kind, I said I don't think I could be kind. The good thing about that car, it was built by Jack Roush. It was trick.
Yeah,
And John and I had a friendship that went back 50 years now.
I have one of his old tripods.
Do you really?
Yeah, Larry Crane gave it to me years ago when I was shooting an Aston Martin DB2 for him, and I used it, and he said, keep it. So and that was back
Well,
when Larry was at Automobile.
when we'd go to Pebble Beach, if he and I were wearing ball caps with glasses, we looked very similar. And Jay Human would always call me John. I said, no, I'm Bill. Call John Bill. No, I'm not. We really did feel like, kind of brothers, although we lived 3,000 miles apart. We were both with Road and Track. We were both photographers. We both went to the same events.
Yep.
He did a lot more riding salons. I just did race stuff.
Yeah.
Bill, I'm sorry, but we've run out of time. I want to thank you for being on America's Web Radio and the Classic Car Show, and get your promise that you'll be on again. And I love the fact that we've done it now where we've done 4 months in advance, 5 months in advance. We get close to it, we'll have you on, and then right before Amelia Island, we'll have you on one more time and see how the fight's going for the tickets, and then we'll have a post Amelia Island. So
Sounds
Yeah.
good to me.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
always fun. You're always fun.
And I'm excited about your book. I want to see it, and then we'll review it on the radio.
absolutely, Bill. Thank you again.
Here's Hank now.
All right. Be safe.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Ryan.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
McAllister's Auto Transport is a privately held company celebrating our 75th anniversary this November, specializing